What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. It seems we may be joined by other nations relatively quickly in our exit from the European Union. This is of course relating to a poll over in the Netherlands that claimed more than half of the Dutch voters now want to leave the EU, which is something I've heard quite a few times from my Dutch viewers and reports previously, so it could well be true, but as always these are polls, so pinch of salt definitely needs to be taken, because as we know they hardly use a big sample size, do they? Because the Express ran an article in 2017 saying bombshell Nexit poll, more than half of Dutch voters now want to leave the European Union, and given that they've seen us go, it could well entice them to continue down this route, which I'm sorry to say I wasn't making videos then, which is why I've quickly covered it today. More than half of Dutch voters want to leave the European Union and seek alternative trade agreements with the rest of the continent in the style of Brexit, a bombshell poll reveals today. And here we have Geert Wilders, who said, "I will definitely take Netherlands out of the EU," and we'll play it quickly to see what he has to say as it's relating to this article.
Were you to form a government, be part of a government, would you want to take the Netherlands out of the European Union as Britain is doing?
I would certainly want to do that. I believe that a democracy needs a nation state. And we have lost our nation state in the process of more federalism in the European Union, you know. It started with economic cooperation and it became a political project, and we lost our national sovereignty. And I want the Dutch to be in charge of their own immigration policy, their own financial policy, their own budget policy, like the United Kingdom decided last year. I think we can be stronger. We can decide again what our own immigration policy is. We can still trade with other countries economically.
Well, you can see there, Geert would happily take them out because the EU has become a political union, not the trading bloc that it was designed to be. Brussels was facing a full-blown popularity crisis as a dynamic survey showed 56% of people in the Netherlands want to quit the political project and revert back to simple commercial ties. And I expect a big part of that is because of the influx of migration that the EU has put on every nation within its political system. The shock result was published just 2 weeks before Dutch voters are set to go to the polls to elect their new government, with far-right Eurosceptic politician Geert Wilders leading in the polls. So if they say he's far-right, then he's very likely centre-right, because we know what far-right means these days. It means anyone with half a brain cell and a slight bit of common sense, because the left has gone so far left that anybody is now right of them or could be considered far-right. It also comes a day after Brussels boss Jean-Claude Juncker openly dismissed the idea of taking the EU back to its roots as a trading bloc, despite including that scenario as a possibility in his landmark white paper. Eurosceptics today hailed the poll as proof that people across the continent are finally realising the EU has become a straitjacket, which is leaving them worse off. No, I'm sure they realised it a long time ago, but the media would never give it coverage before. Much the same as in the UK, even after we voted to leave, the media was dead set against it, remember. So, while people may be feeling this, you will never hear about it, because of course, the media refuse to report on what the public want. They only report on things that are on their agenda. They don't care about what the people actually want, let's be honest. The Eurosceptic Bruges think tank, which commissioned the survey, said across the continent of Europe and beyond, people want to take back control of their lives. A concerted campaign for Nexit, along the lines that we saw in the UK, can over time, just like it did in Britain, move the Netherlands towards the exit. Britain will welcome our allies, the Dutch people, in a new post-EU Europe. Of course we will. We will welcome any European nation that wants to leave the EU, because they were our allies and friends long before the EU or the economic area was even a pipe dream. You have to remember, for thousands of years, European nations have been sharing their culture with each other, whether it be via trade or wars, but in the end, we have always been friends with great alliances. The EU itself does not make that any stronger, it just makes the people of each nation resent Brussels for wasting their money and passing laws upon them that no one wants. The only people who should be able to pass laws on you are the people you elect to government at the end of the day. The same should be true for every country the world over. The result will alarm Eurocrats who have identified Holland alongside France and Italy as part of a trio of threats where rising Euroscepticism could rip the bloc limb from limb. Let's hope it does. The three are facing elections within the next 18 months, and all eyes are nervously on the Netherlands, which will hold its first, to see if voters in the country follow the populist example set by Donald Trump and Brexit. The poll, carried out by the respected Maurice de Hond group, found that once don't knows are excluded, 56% of Dutch people would vote to leave the EU compared to 44% who would opt to remain. According to the results, Nexit is slightly more popular amongst women than men, by 57% compared to 56%, and is backed by a majority of voters in all age groups over the age of 25 and by those in large cities. Yeah, I expect the ones that have been overrun by migrants. I have been hearing a lot of talk about the Netherlands' issues with the EU's migrant policies of taking in so-called refugees, or economic migrants as we would call them, and spreading them around Europe without giving each individual nation a say on it. So this really doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you. Part of the reason why the numbers are so high is because the question posed to respondents included the option for the Netherlands to quit the whole EU, but maintain economic ties via a free trade agreement with the bloc, which is essentially the same as Brexit, or what they want Brexit to be. Given the choice, just 39% of voters in the Netherlands actively want to remain in the EU as it is, demonstrating the bloc's massive loss of popularity in the country. That it plays out, internal Brussels polling, which has alarmed Eurocrats by showing that the proportion of European voters viewing the bloc positively has slumped from half to a third in just a decade. Yeah, that's because people are getting far more clued up on what the EU is about, regardless of what the Ramonas over here, and of course the media, will try and have you believe. When presented with various options, 23% would vote to quit and join the European Free Trade Association, the so-called Norway model, once touted for Britain, but which involves accepting freedom of movement, so I doubt the voters are going to go for that too tough. But once again, I'm not in the Netherlands, so I can't say that for sure, but it's definitely likely. And a further 27% want to sever ties altogether and negotiate a comprehensive free trade agreement with the bloc, which is the strategy currently being pursued by Theresa May. Thierry Baudet, the leader of the Eurosceptic Forum for Democracy Party, said more and more people see that the EU is bad for the Netherlands and for Europe. It's a straitjacket in which none of us will be better off. Let us work together well, trading and helping each other wherever possible, but without political superstates. Spot on, Thierry, I would have to agree with you there. No one needs the European superstate. The poll comes after Dutch voters overwhelmingly rejected an EU treaty with Ukraine granting visa-free access in a referendum last spring, only for the result to be ignored by politicians in The Hague and Brussels, which I suppose is part of the reason why they should get out and get out now, much like we have done. Hopefully it won't take them as long as it's taken us though. People in the Netherlands have repeatedly demonstrated a Eurosceptic streak and also voted down the 2005 EU Constitution, which was then infamously repackaged as the Lisbon Treaty and railroaded through anyway, as we all know. The Peel poll, carried by Maurice de Hond, surveyed 1,174 Dutch voters between February 14th and February 15th this year. And that is the end of the article there, guys. It would seem a lot of people in the Netherlands want to join us in freedom and run their own country. And like I've said many times, I will support that wholeheartedly. Hopefully, they can get out of the EU, much like the other countries on the map in front of you now, like Denmark, Netherlands, obviously we're speaking about, Poland, Czech Republic, France, Hungary, Austria, and they're also forgetting down there, Italy, which was also spoke about earlier in the article. There is Euroscepticism coming from all over Europe and the rest of the world, because the world over knows it's a complete shit show. But on that note, guys, I am going to end the video there. As some of you will know, I have started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you are interested in joining me for a chat in real time during one of my live streams, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or simply want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link to subscribe will be down in the video description and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now, as always, I want to thank our YouTube, PayPal, Patreon and Subscribe-Star members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, Subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.
Ramon! Ramon!